Before we start this topic, I do want to say if you don't watch our channel regularly, we never talk about PewDiePie. Like, at all. And that is on purpose. Because I feel like he's not really worth talking about. You know, he's the biggest YouTuber of all time. He does his own thing. He gets into trouble sometimes. I don't really usually involve us in that drama because there's enough people that do that, and we're here to talk about gaming and such. But after this event leading to certain other things, I felt like it was time for us to give our opinion on it. So, in case you're not aware, I'll take you through the timeline. PewDiePie was playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and let out a racial slur. He let it, and later he came out with an apology video for it, and he claimed that it was, a heated gaming moment. And I've seen clips of him saying the slur, and it was not a heated moment. He just got, annoyed that someone did something. And, he said the slur, it came out. He was laughing immediately afterwards, so it definitely was not heated. He wasn't having a tantrum or anything like that. So that apology kind of fell flat with a lot of people. And one of the games that he streams, I think it's called Firewatch. The game where you're like a ranger in the mountains and Firewatch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the developer basically said, well, we don't approve of PewDiePie's language. So what we're going to do is we're going to issue DMCA copyright claims against his videos that have our content content being covered, because we do not want him making money off of our game. The problem with that, and it's not really going to be the focus of this video, but I do want to say as a sidebar, the problem with that is that company on their website has a statement stating, we love it when people stream our games, stream to your heart's content. You can monetize your videos if you want to, have at it. We're just thankful that you're giving us the exposure. Like I wish Nintendo would do. So, but now they're kind of changing their tune because they don't like the words that PewDiePie uses. So, I think that's kind of messed up. I kind of feel like you can't really do that. You can't just say, all right, you're allowed to use the product this way, but for one individual, say, no, you can't. So I think legally they're going to have a hard time with that one if PewDiePie decides to fight it. So there's that aspect of it. What really gets me is I've heard a lot of YouTubers give their 2 cents about it. And I'm not one of these, we're not one of these YouTubers that say, oh, I don't have the time to watch YouTube. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube, if I'm going to be honest. It's kind of like my TV replacement. And I don't know if James Rolfe, as the angry video game nerd, is the one to blame about this, but gaming culture and gaming YouTube culture, I should say, and of course if you play online, you hear every word in the book. You even hear racial slurs like this all the time. And it's almost like gaming is full of people with potty mouths. I think it's a sad truth. On our podcast, we don't always hit the standard, but I do have a standard that, me and anyone else on here, we don't need to be swearing because we aim to be family friendly. We want, anyone of any age be able to watch our podcast and, you know, not be offensive to anyone. Although there, of course, our opinions are a different matter. Our opinions can offend you, and I don't care about that because opinions are known to do that. But I've heard so many YouTubers come out and they've condemned his speech. And let me get this out of the way. I think his speech is condemnable. I've never used that word myself. I hate hearing it. You don't need to use slurs to define anyone. But my problem is these people, these YouTubers that get up on their soapbox every time PewDiePie does something, and I don't know, maybe they do it for the views, maybe they have this weird sense of justice, but they will upload a video and every word out of their mouth is blank this, blank that, Jesus Christ, an exclamation. I'm a Christian. Matt's a Christian. I find it extremely offensive when the name Jesus Christ is said out loud in vain. There's several YouTubers out there, though, that don't have a problem with it. And they will, I'll go ahead and mention him, Alpha Omega Sin, along with other YouTubers, but his videos he does it a lot in. At the end of his videos, or towards the end of his videos, he's just like, oh, by the way, I swear, so get the blank over it. And he doesn't care if you're offended by his language. And you know what? I don't even know what his opinion is on this whole PewDiePie case. I just know that I heard several other YouTubers who don't have a problem with using language that is offensive to many people who have families, many people who have small children, and they don't care if they offend them, but they'll go out of their way to demonize PewDiePie for also using harsh language. Here's the deal with language. Either it's all allowable and no one should ever get upset over words, or there are words in the English language and in other languages that are just offensive. And if you're using them to cause offense, don't be surprised when people get offended. Or if people, you know, dislike you for the words that you use because you've offended them with your language, with your word choice. Words mean things. And we have, I think as a society, we've become very flippant about what words we use. And, you know, if you get offended by it, well, then you're just a wuss. You just have, you know, thin skin. And it's like, no, like, it's okay to be offended by something. Like, it's okay when someone calls you a horrible name to take offense to that. Like, it's not up to you to just get over it. Like, my thing is, I'm of the opinion that there's harmful words out there. Don't say them. Just don't. Be in control of your mouth. And don't think for a moment that if you are a YouTuber and every other word out of your mouth is a horrible word that would instantly make any movie R-rated, don't think for a second that you have this moral superiority over PewDiePie for using a racial slur on his live stream, because you're in the same boat as far as I'm concerned. Like, you've got no place to judge, no moral standing at all. That's my 2 bits on it. Did you have anything to add?
I can't come after the standpoint of swearing, because although I don't do it on this channel, I have been known to do it, and I do it outside, but because of this being a friendly family channel, I can control my words. It's not, I don't have a desire to say anything, or like I need to add it to a sentence, or I'm gonna fill up with anger and then explode all of a sudden. But I can't say anything for people that swear. It's like you're bad people for saying that, because be a hypocrite. That being said, there's a lot of swear words, and there's a lot of words that can be put into swear words that aren't necessarily offensive to people that you shouldn't say. There's some words like that I don't like saying. When it comes to racial slurs, I'm very against it. So it's weird. Or you shouldn't really ever say a racial slur. There's no reason on earth why you should have to say something like that, or why words like that even exist. Because, as far as I'm concerned, everyone's the same. We're all human beings. The only difference between us are where we grew up, where we live, and what language we speak. Of course, skin color is another factor into it, but people like to take the things that make us different from other people, and they like to turn it into a way of insulting them, and that's just not okay, because
right.
Why pick on them for that over something they have absolutely no control over, and try and turn it into something that should be a negative? It's like you're just being a punk at that point,
and you're not cool for doing it. Like, it doesn't make you cool when you do the same thing that so many other people do out there. It just makes you a jerk like all the others.
Right. And the particular word that he used is something that actually has not even less. No, it's probably been about that. I'd say maybe 50, 60 years ago was still in use, and people didn't have a problem using it for a certain type of people, and it's just I don't know. Hearing the word just kind of makes me cringe hearing that word, just because of the origins of it and what it was originally used for. It was basically used just, one, to insult a group of people, two, to basically take away their humanity from them, and just kind of, it's just an object. And this, you can't recover from that. A word like that just can't recover over time. And the word there's another term that's very similar to that word that's used nowadays, but it's a friendly word, or a word that means pal or friend, depending on who you're talking to. And that's also a little weird. I don't know how you can just replace two letters and then just oh, it's okay.
Now it's a happy word.
Yeah, when the original, you say it around someone, you have a very good chance of getting just beaten up. Yeah, just very, very high chance of you getting beaten up for saying a word like that in public. And there are other words like that exist that might not be as known, but they're just as offensive and just as wrong to use. And there's just not a time or place to say any of them. There's not a time or a place where any kind of word should be used, but the racial slurs just shouldn't exist. And it's even worse whenever someone says it, because it's, even if it's just one person, they're keeping that word alive in the meaning that it has, and you just have no reason to use it. There's no reason you need that thing to exist, and and especially if you know what it means, and you're okay with knowing what it means, and you're okay with using it in the way that it was meant to be used. It just makes you even more of a terrible person. Yeah,
and it shows complete lack of control on your part.
Yeah, so there's really no excuse for PewDiePie saying that. He can make as many apology videos as he can. The word came out, he used it, and like you said, a few seconds later, he was just laughing and joking around, you know. So he's clearly not that bent out of shape about it, and chances are that's not the only time he's ever used the word. So
no, probably not. From how casually he said it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Just don't say it.
Yeah. Well said.